Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I haven't been posting any videos just lately. It's been a bit of a hectic time. But in this video I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this image from this image. Now this is a mobile phone image which I don't normally take, but I was feeling rather lazy and these gladioli were deteriorating pretty fast. So this one was actually taken on my kitchen table, and the background, as you can see, is pretty horrid, not very nice at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the steps I took to actually achieve this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this image. So we'll go up to Image, Duplicate. Okay, and we'll say that's the copy. So now we have the copy, so we can work on that. I'll just move that across here. Okay, so we've got the copy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make an overlay. I think what I'll do is I'll just crop a little bit each side. Like so. And then I'm going to take the crop tool, the clone stamp tool, make sure it's on 100%. Make a big enough brush and just clone. Hold your mouse key down, hold your Alt key, click on your mouse and just keep clicking away. Click, click, and just let's duplicate this one to make a new background. Nearly there. Okay, now let's have a look. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to Filter, down to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I've got it set on about 153. If you want a bit of detail in it, depends how much detail you want. I would say that's probably about enough for me, but you might set it on something different. You know, if you want it really smooth, and you can go up higher, but I would prefer probably to have a bit of detail, so I'm going to come down to, yeah, probably about there. Doesn't have to be exact. Okie doke. So now we've got our background, and what I think I'll do is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to the first thing we'll do is duplicate the image. So go up to Image, go down to Duplicate, and let's call this, I'm going to leave the image name as it is, and I'm just going to put blurred background in the end. But you can just put blurred background, you don't have to put the image number. That's just how I prefer to do it at the moment. So I'll say OK to that. So then we've got a duplicate of the image. So I'll move that across. So we've got the original image, and that's going to be the blurred background. So now I'm going to make a blurred background or an overlay. I'm just going to crop in a little bit. and say yes to that. Pick up the clone stamp and then start cloning. And you can do it any way you like. There's no set way to do this. Just keep cloning from wherever you want to. The background is going to be blurred, so it doesn't really matter how you do it. This is my way of doing it. You don't have to do it this way, but this is just a suggestion. Doesn't take too long. Okay, so there you go. Now let's go up to filter, come down to blur and Gaussian blur. Okay, now I've got it set on 138.3. We put 140 in. There's a bit of detail in there. Maybe you might not want as much detail, so blur it out a bit more. That's 160. Let's say 160. Yeah, that's okay. Right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move the background over to the main image. So we're going to get the move tool at the top, click, hold the mouse button down and drag it across to the main image. Bring it back down and release it. Now, okay, that is smaller than the image. So what we're going to do is we're going to resize it. And it doesn't matter because it's a blurred image anyway. It doesn't matter if you're stretching it. That looks okay. So we'll say okay to that. And there we have our background over the top of our image. So the next thing we'll do is click on the top layer, which is your blurred background. At the moment, you've got 100% opacity. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it down so we can see the image underneath. And then I'm going to put a mask on. Now, when you put a mask on, you'll see that it goes from black to white. And black will bring the image through and white will bring the background through. So we're going to click. And I think what we'll do is we'll zoom in so we can see it more clearly. Now I'm going to get the brush tool. Make sure you're on the black. Make sure you're actually on the mask. Let's have a look at the opacity. I'm going to turn it up to 100% because I'm going to do the main part of the flower pretty quickly. And you can see the flower is showing through. Okay, and I'm doing it very, very quickly. Okay. Now, a little trick I've learnt is if you click on the mask and hold your Alt key down, you'll be able to see where you've been painting. And you'll be able to see where you've missed as well. Now, if you click again, hold the Alt key down, you'll get back to your image. So that's a little trick. But we'll do a bit more. I think what I'll do is I'll turn the opacity up a bit. The thing is, we've got orange on orange, so it's more difficult to see. So I'll zoom in a bit more. And I think we'll go around the edges. So get the brush, make sure you're on the black, you're on the mask, and I'm going to go in at 100%. If you feel confident enough to do this. But the great thing about this is if you make a mistake, you can click on the white and you can bring background in. See where I've gone over there? That's the background coming in. Now I'm doing this quite quickly, so I'm going to deliberately go over the edge so you can actually see the background. And that, to me, I find that's easier. it means you have to paint the background out again, and it does take a bit more time. What I could have also done, I could have actually selected the subject, but this is the way I prefer to do it. I enjoy doing it this way. This is what I call hand masking. So I'm going to go all the way around. I'm deliberately not selecting the stem because the stem is very out of focus. As I say, this was a mobile phone image, and I'm not terribly good at mobile phone photography. And I was feeling a bit lazy at the time. I didn't get the mirrorless camera out. So let's just click on the mask, click your Alt key on your Mac, and there you can see where you've missed. And if you're on black, you can actually go in. Oops, see, I made a mistake there. Shaky hand. Okay. So at least you know all the center has been masked out. That's a little trick that I learned. Probably seen it somewhere, but I can't remember where. Okay, so click it again. Click Alt on your keyboard, and we're back to the image again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go all around the edges, and I'm going to paint the background back in and paint the flower out. So let's take a smaller brush, and you can either click the little arrow which takes you to white, or click the X. And if you notice, every time you press the X on your keyboard, it changes from black to white. So we're looking at white. So let's go in. It's better if you can sort of zoom in a bit. Make sure you're on your brush. Still got 100%. I'm really going in for 100%. Make sure you're on the mask. Choose the size of your brush and just go around the edges. If you want to, you can actually make this opacity 100%. So if we click the opacity and take it right up, you can actually see it better, look. Okay, so we're just going to go all around the edges, and I'm doing this very quickly. And what I might do is I might come back to you. Well, I will come back to you. What I'll do is I'll do a little bit, and then I'll finish it off and come back to you. But this is the idea. And if you make a mistake, if you need to put a portion of your flower back in, just click back, click the X, or physically go and click on the black and bring your flower back in. And then we can have a look and see how much we've got masked out. I actually love doing this rather than selecting the subject, because I find I can actually mask in or mask out the parts that I want to. Photoshop is quite good at selecting subjects, but sometimes it doesn't quite select what you want. So you can see, I'm going to change the size of my brush just to go in the corner there. This is not going to be perfect, but I think you should be getting the idea. So I'm going to go all the way around. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the video. I think you've probably got the idea. and I'll come back to you when I've gone all the way around. Okay, I'm back. So let's just zoom out. As you can see, I've masked most of that out. And as I say, I haven't done the stem because that's not a very good stem, and I'm going to replace it with another one, which will do. So let's just have a look. If we look at the click on the mask, Alt key, I've pretty much got it sorted there. It's a little bit on the edges, but we'll sort that out. So let's click again, click the mask, click your Alt key. Right, so, and if I can just show you, there's places where I've not caught the whole of the petal. So press your X key, get to black, get your brush, and then just go around again. See, look, you can actually bring your petal back in, make it sharp, and then around there. But don't bring too much of the background back in. It's just little areas, and because I've been rushing, just have a look if there's anywhere else. No, it's quite a soft image as well. This is why I wasn't very happy with it. But I'm not an expert in mobile phone photography. I'd rather use my main camera. So let's go back to white again. Let's just do a little bit of me being really picky. I think that doesn't look too bad. A little bit there. But the thing is, I'm going to be softening these petals anyway, so yeah. I think what I'm going to do is as well, I don't really like that there. So I'm going to mask that out as well. Don't like that. I think it's a bit of a distraction. So again, I'm on the white. In fact, I might get rid of that as well. This is the great thing about masking. You can take out what you want. So let's just click on the mask again. Click your mouse button and the Alt key. So you've got a bit of, go to the black, press your X, just mask that bit out there. Just that there. Let's have a look here. If we can make some of these edges a little bit sharper. I'm probably going to be bringing some of the background back in as well. This took some getting used to doing this, but then I found it's quite easy because you could find out where you missed. Don't want to be too perfect with it. Well, if I was when I did the original image, I was messing about a bit, but it was enjoyable. I love doing this. So let's just look at that. Right. Let's go back to the image. That doesn't look too bad. Not too bad at all. So I'm now going to bring the stem in. So what I do is I take some pictures of, I call them spare parts. And these are pictures of stems, leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, which is, I think it's a tulip stem. I know it's not a tulip, the main image, but this just happens to fit. So I'm going to get my move tool. Okay, and I'm going to do the same as I did with the blurred background. I'm going to move it and take it up to the main image, bring it down and release. Just ignore that and say yes. Ignore that, say okay. Whatever it says on the screen, just ignore it. Okay, let's zoom out. Zoom out. So you can see better. I'm going to move it around till it looks right. I'm going to resize it as well because it looks a bit big compared to the flower. So probably about there would be fine. That would be okay. So say okay to that. Now what I'm going to do, so now we've got the stem in place. Now you can see we've got it on its own layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mask on that as well. And if you look at this stem, it's a bit dark around the edges. So first of all, get on the mask. It should be on black. Okay, get the brush and we're going to mask out that bit of stem. Okay. Now what I'm also going to do is zoom in. You can do this all on this mask. Make sure you're on the mask. Get the brush. I'm just going to go around the edges because it's a bit dark on the edges. It's like magic, this is. Love doing this. And let's just go all around the edges. I'm doing this quickly. It's not going to be perfect. Go down the other edge. Down. Right down to the bottom. Get rid of that bit there. Just have a look. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, so that looks good on the stem. So let's zoom out and see how it all looks. That doesn't look too bad at all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of the background layer. So we drag that down to the plus. So we've got a background copy. And I'm going to go into Camera Raw. And yes, you're going to see the image as it was before. What I'm going to do is put a bit of texture on it. So I'll put about 25 into it. So if you turn, let's zoom in so you can see the difference. So if I turn it off, turn it back on, you can see the difference. So that's put a bit more texture in. So I'm going to call that Camera Raw Texture. Now the great thing about this is I can turn this off at any time if I don't want it and turn it off. But that's how I want it to look. I want a bit more texture in the flower because it was very, very soft. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to soften the image. So I'm going to come back up to this layer with the mask on. I'm going to make a copy of this. So go down to the plus. Okay, now we've got a copy of the mask. So now what I'm going to do is make sure I'm on the mask, otherwise nothing will happen. Get the brush, get white. I'm only going to do 15% opacity because I don't want a total effect. It's just okay. So big brush and just go over the whole thing, just softening the whole thing. In fact, it won't soften the stem because that's on a separate layer, so we'll have to do that separately. So keep softening at 15%. Keep softening at 15% and just go all the way around. Now this is entirely up to you how much softening you want to do. It makes it look as though it's not just what I call plonked on the background. I think that looks quite nice. So let's have a go at the stem. So I'm going to make a copy of the stem. In fact, what I'll do is softening. I'll rename that softening image. I'm going to rename this just stem. Stem and leaf. Okay. And let's make a copy of that. I'm going to soften this one up. So on the mask, you've got the white, got the brush, 15%, and we're just going to go all over this. It'll take a few attempts, but the best thing is to do it in increments. So let's tackle the stem next. So we're going to be on the mask, brush, we're going to do 15%. So we only want it to be in increments. So look, we're just going to soften that stem up a little bit. You can soften it up as much as you like. So what I'm going to do is soften the bottom. Just keep clicking 15% at a time. And then we can just go around the edges of the stem and soften those up as well. The edges of the petals, I should say, the leaves. I think that looks too bad. Just softens it up a little bit. So that's the stem sorted. Now, something else I thought I would do is to lighten the stamens up a bit in the centre. So I'm going to go back to this layer here and I'm going to make a duplicate of that. And I'm going to go back into camera raw. Now we've got the old image I know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click the mask here, brush, and you only want a small brush, because what I'm going to do is highlight these bits. If you have, I've got an overlay of blue so I can see where I'm doing this. I'm not, can zoom in if I want to, but I'm not going to be too particular with it. I think that'll do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the exposure up a little bit. It's something like 60%. Let's just have a look. Let's say okay to that. So what that sneezes like. So if I turn that off, you can definitely see the difference. That just lightens that up. So what I'm going to do is call that camera raw exposure. And as I say, the great thing about these layers, you can turn them off if you don't want them. Turn the texture off if you don't want it. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do as well now, I'm just going to generally lighten up, maybe lighten up the center. I'm going to click back on this first layer. Maybe bring some of the center back. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to bring these little white flashes back. So I've got the brush, 15%, maybe 50. Don't want to do it too much. Just lightly click. And just go over with a big brush and get back in a bit. I think that looks good. So I hope you've been able to follow that. But the great thing about the video is you keep playing it over and over again. I hope you've got the gist of it. If there's anything you need to talk to me about, please leave me some comments on my YouTube and I'll certainly try and help you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, please give me a like and subscribe, because then you'll get to see all the latest videos coming on. Okay, thank you very much for watching.